Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. Okay, first and foremost, I adjusted my sound settings, so let me know in the comments if this sounds better. It looks like my compressor uh, reset to a way older configuration, and actually had been reducing the output dB like universally instead of being a compressor to prevent clipping. So let me know if this sounds better. One of these days, I'll make a YouTube video where I actually sound like I really do in real life. But this video is going to be sort of a mental breakdown, like reflecting on the level cap run. Um, Normally, I don't post these, but I'm going to try it. Um, I noticed Arthas did these with his level cap runs, where he like reviewed like the weapons that he did. So I'm just going to do this off the cuff. I always found like a lot of value and hearing how somebody views how a run did. I enjoyed them, so I'm gonna try it. If you like this and want to see like the person that I got the idea from, Arthas Official, a lot of you know him, so shout out to him, big fan. But okay, so we did the level cap run. My build was Revenant, Exceltra, the Latum, and the Corfell. I'm not gonna be able to talk too much about the Corfell. I think the build was just straight up wrong. Even with the heavy attack, I was only hitting like 100 Ks, which is clearly not acceptable. Um, Even with a against fully stripped enemies with like a pure viral setup, like the raw damage was just not high enough. Um, I could probably work on priming, but that kind of defeats the point of like a heavy attack build. Like you want enough punch to where you can hit at least at start, say like 500k for it to be like really relevant in terms of like a quicker combo. Especially when there's things like the Redeemer that all on their own you can hit like a million. Obviously, the Corfell is not going to be in that class of heavy attack weapon, but it is going to be a decent contributor to weapons that do heavy attacks melee wise. And obviously, it's the new one, right? Um, so let's talk about the Exceltra, which is the weapon that I was testing. Okay, first the Revenant build. I posted it in the full VOD. I know the full unedited VODs can be kind of annoying for people that are looking for like a summation video or something that's edited down. That is kind of to be expected on YouTube. But personally, for me, I would rather have a full VOD that's unedited, um, with just really good chapter marks, so I can click through it and see how like the lead up to it, like see what buffs the person has instead of getting like a 5 minute highlight video. The VODs are always super important for level cap runs, and at least at a minimum, I'll always try to post just the VOD instead of like a full stream of like a level cap run, right? So it's like if I do like an 8 hour stream and like 3 hours of it is the level cap, I'm gonna upload just the level cap run. So there's a little bit of the setup in the VOD, in the recording, where it's raw footage, so you can see, like I said, what my builds were. Even showed like what, um, like talked about the theory behind it. Was pretty basic. You know, everybody's just sort of joking around and whatnot. We did figure out what the trigger was. It ended up being the Panzer Spores. That even though the Latum is a zero crit weapon, the Panzer Spores are still able to trigger Arcane Velocity. And I was able to successfully trigger acceleration, velocity. Um, what's the other one? Hold on. I actually posted it in a comment. It was on the Encumber Latum video. No, it wasn't. Okay, acceleration, fury, and tempo all also trigger from viral quills. Um, I don't think it's really important for general knowledge, but say you're running like a weapon where it's a status weapon that has like, for future reference, if it's a weapon that has like 5% crit, and you happen to roll um like a negative crit chance, obviously that's not a big deal. But on something like, the most clear example I could think of would be something like the Sporothrix. You could still use acceleration, even though it relies on crit. You could use acceleration on the Sporothrix, even though it has a 1% crit chance. So it's more niche. It's not like incredibly nuanced, bro-ish, but like it's nice to know. And I haven't seen any videos about that. Okay, so going back to the Exceltra, the build that I posted about like a level cap build, um, and like, oh, so this is like how you would build the Exceltra. I took that build to level cap, to just see how good it would do. The ammo is going to be the issue. The ammo, like the max ammo carrying capacity. So like an ammo drum, or even like a Riven with ammo on it, I would say where normally like max, like an ammo max roll on a Riven, would be consider as like D tier on the Exceltra. The fact is that the Exceltra needs ammo so badly. I think it would be like a B plus roll on that weapon only, just because of how crushing the 3 magazine um, amount is. If you could get it to like 5 or to 6, I think it would help out a bullet hose weapon with three mags worth of carrying ammo with it, including the one that you have on. I think is just crushing for that weapon. God forbid you actually run like any sort of fire rate on it. And the point, they did it intentionally because the weapon, in terms of like how much damage you get per shot, is honestly kind of high. It's not like A plus tier, but like compared to say like the Soma, for example, like where it's another bullet hose weapon. Um, the Exceltra needs to be able to fire multiple shots. It needs to be able to unload into the enemies, and it just doesn't have the magazine or the max ammo capacity. So I'm gonna have to fine tune it. I'm gonna retest it at a level cap over this weekend also, and I'm gonna try to use like maybe I'll take the carrier and do like hard reset spam to keep it alive. Um, and I'll have to reform the Exceltra for the primed ammo pickup, and maybe I'll do a rifle ammo mutation or rifle scavenger pickup, aura, because some of the other guys they really weren't having ammo issues, but ammo for some of the guys was a bit of an issue. Um, Not that it was bad, like everybody did fine, but it's just obviously it could be something a little healthier. Um, but overall, the Exceltra has the damage that it needs to. It kills as fast as it needs to. When I distance myself appropriately from the Demolist, it still had trouble. I think Zada's going to be the go-to necessary helmet to be able to get the Exceltra damage done. Or specifically, maybe I need to incorporate a jump when killing with the Exceltra. Because the difference between not being appropriately spaced and body shots and being appropriately spaced and landing headshots is so massive. It's literally two different guns. The elements were set up right, so the viral setup was the way to go. Even at the end, when I was killing like trash and like some of the tankier Eximus enemies, the kill rate was fine. The kills per second was fine, but because of the bullet hose nature of how the weapon is, it really needs to be able to get the ammo pickups as effective as possible, because it is the handicap for that weapon. If you didn't have any ammo issues at all and you could just hold the button down with the Exceltra, you could take on the world with the Exceltra, especially with the Prime variant coming out pretty soon, relatively. So the issue is going to be the Prime variant. Maybe they'll fix the ammo with that, and this will be a moot point entirely. But the fact is the ammo was just the massive issue. So the damage is there. Once the stacks were up, I even tagged it in the level cap VOD. And I tried to upload the VOD with as high a detail as possible. And any artifacting is actually due to like the converter of what I uploaded it at versus what YouTube wants. So I gotta figure that out. That is on me. I didn't upload it in like, I guess, the right format or something. It's MP4 and I do constant quality, and I had it set at like 10. Like, it was insanely detailed, and even with all of that, like, it ended up being, I think it was like a 280 gig file that I uploaded, just because of the length and all the crap going on, right? And all the particles worst off. But I gotta figure out a way to do that, because I've seen some people with like crystalline images, and YouTube has no problem with like particles and whatnot. So I gotta figure out how to fix that, because there were some times where it's like you can still read all the numbers, which is the good thing. Unless there's literally so many numbers in one spot, you can't read it. You could read the numbers and everything. So if you want to click through, obviously I don't expect anybody to sit there and listen to the entire thing, even though it was done with a group of people and we were all bullshitting and everything. I wouldn't expect anybody to watch the full VOD, but I tried to chapter tag it. I did each 1,000 levels, and then I did the testing for each of the weapons at the end. The Curofell's the last second. Basically, I forgot to do it. But I did show the damage of what it was capable of doing against like regular enemies, full stripped and whatnot. And it was clearly just not powerful enough in the build that I had, so no build on that yet. But yeah, the Exceltra is the one that really needs the breakdown, because it's almost done, like a quote-unquote certified level cap capable build. And it's not something that the weapon can get done on its own. You are just going to be out of ammo. So that means you have to make sure you take the longer decaying arcanes. You have to take arcanes that don't decay at all, or have like a different condition, because most of the arcanes are dependent on being built up, right? Like you have to get headshots, you have to do blah blah blah. You have to get cold procs or whatever. So they have to be built up. You have to meet a condition. But I could probably see maybe a little bit of nuance changed on it. It might end up being a frostbite build, to be honest. Or it's either I fix the ammo, or I throw a frostbite build on it so I can get even more damage on the weapon. But there really isn't going to be any difference. It's in order to fix it, like something has to be done. Like there's no situation where it's like I don't do anything to fix that weapon, because in its current situation, the damage is definitely there, but due to a utility aspect, the weapon cannot cap in its current form. So the build is right to deal the damage at level cap, but due to the ammo issue, you can't just pick that weapon up and go. And that's kind of an issue. You can't even really prime and consistently kill fast enough because the armor scales so high. So it's either go full corrosive and then strip at the Demolist and not be able to use it at all, or stay viral, continuously full strip, which is fine, and deal damage that way. So the answer is clearly going to have to be full strip because it's a disruption run. You're doing that anyway. Set it up for viral, and then fix the ammo issue. So I'm just speaking aloud. If you guys have done level cap runs, like, this is pretty basic. I'm just saying it for people who don't really do disruption caps, haven't done their first cap. Just trying to speak aloud the full thought process. Say the quiet part out loud, if you will. I made a video on the Latum because of how impressed I was with the Encumber build. Yeah, moving on to the next weapon. It was surprisingly effective. Yeah, I get that it was a strong combo. But to me, saying that there's a strong arcane on a weapon that is with no arcane capable of doing level cap is kind of redundant. But the current meta Latum build is still flare. And the fact is that if you compare the max stacks of flare, which is super easy to get on a heat Latum, where you either do like corrosive heat or viral heat, whatever you want to do, you're still going to get the stacks, especially with the AoE, and that's not an issue. But the max stacks of flare versus running Hornet Strike on your frame, on the weapon itself, not your frame, is only double damage. So that's the difference in the multiplier. And unless you're running two 60/60s to get corrosive heat, you're not really missing the damage that much. Like, it's only double. Obviously, you're going to go down in terms of, like, how many status procs you get. But with 160/60, you're still at, like, 75%. And it's not going to be that big of a difference. It's obviously going to go up. But if you're running the Galvanized mod and a 60/60, the difference in status chance of running one extra 60/60 isn't as great. It's not as big of an impact as that first 60/60, right? And you're not running any of the Galvanized mods. Because that's where it's like, oh man, it's like a 60% increase in status chance, right? Well, it's a 60/60 plus a Galvanized damage, or the Galvanized damage mod. So adding one more 60/60 is like 20%, right? It's not that big of a difference. It's not that big of an increase. So there is a little bit of wiggle room. Obviously, you still want the higher percent. And if you're not using a Riven, it's probably still the best. And it's so nuanced, I'm not going to test it to be like, oh, this is specifically what it is. Because frankly, the weapon is so strong. You actually have the luxury of building the weapon for comfort at higher levels, which is wild. So it really just does depend on how you enjoy it. But the Encumber video was just to show, hey, with this, it's one of the few weapons that can self-prime and then deal damage on its own. There are very few weapons that have that luxury. And the Latum deals so much damage on its own. It clearly outclasses the Sea-Doo in terms of damage. It's not even close. And the Sea-Doo was kind of the go-to of, you can just go like a huge viral weighting with crit and like whatever else you wanted, like crit fire rate, like a full crit build with like 2 mods that give you viral. Ideally, if you're running a Riven setup, Toxin on the Riven, so you can do the cold elemental. Or I have another Sea-Doo. I have 2 Sea-Doos with the exact same build except one difference, and it's literally one forma, one polarity. One is built for corrosive, the other one's built for viral. And one of those does level cap and the other one doesn't. The viral build, because they're going to be full stripping, you need the damage boost from the viral weighting. And because of how tight the build is with a Riven, it literally meant I had to build another Sea-Doo. or Cedo, however you pronounce it, right? Um, so that's basically the big thing. Is it's just reporting back on something good. It's a pretty easy build. If you don't have a Riven for the Latum, as most don't, uh, go Corrosive Heat still. It's not a big deal. Go Corrosive Heat. And if you want to do like a longer run, get ready to, full strip. You kind of need it. And then just swap one of those 60/60s to make viral, right? Swap out the, was it Jolt for the cold one. So not a big deal. It's a really flexible setup. If you polarize the slots for the 60/60s and the heat, it saves you a lot because you can just swap out another 60/60 because it's the same polarity, right? And then just go with God. But the encumber mod literally allows you to just go with the same element for everything. The only difference would be is you can swap out the heat when against Grineer with Toxin against Corpus, or go full gas against like Infested, or even do like a gas electric setup. It's all the same 60/60 mods, and the extra element, the weighting, the one where you want like the 90, is still a dash polarity for all those combinations because you're never gonna do a cold element. Unless you're doing like a primary and trying to do like a frostbite build, right? Because the 165 elemental mod on the primary sometimes is just kind of what you gotta go for like a raw damage build because the 165 weighting's so huge. It's just a huge amount of modded damage increase. So rambling enough. It's just I'm trying to say like the full thought instead of like the parts that everybody's figured out in case anybody actually listens to this. Because the thought process, most of the time, you'll see like a breakdown video. Not like a breakdown, but like because you really don't see those. Like the only person I know that does that is Arthas. But, and he's not saying he's the only one, but it's just the only one that I see. But like when you see people doing like level cap videos, it's basically a build and then them doing something. You never hear like the thought process behind it. If you're thinking about doing a level cap, I literally cannot recommend enough. I think Arthas had it right in terms of an easy run. I cannot imagine a easier level cap run than taking a strength revenant with a Panzer, put Equilibrium on Revenant, and make it a strength Revenant with Unaro. I actually can't imagine an easier level cap. It's so non-threatening. Like there's no real timers you have to worry about on your build. Just whenever you feel like it, basically, just recast your Mesmer skin. Obviously, recast it before you run out. But if you get up a bunch of Mesmer skin charges, just recast it like every 30 seconds. I didn't even run that much strength on Revenant. But there's definitely an argument if you're running the Zadas combo to run a massive strength weighting on your build. Sorry about that. And this is probably the easiest way to level cap. It's the most casual, least threatening. You never really feel like you're having too much of an issue. And he would be like the go-to if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed. And if you notice, and a lot of people that do level cap videos, always check in the corner. If you see somebody doing like a meme build, a lot of times you'll see them running with somebody. You'll see him running with somebody, and a lot of times it's a Revenant, right? Like you're not gonna see like a Grendel support on a level cap run, or if it's like somebody doing a level cap with a friend, and the one person's trying to make a video. A lot of times in the corner you'll see a Revenant. So there's a reason for that, but you can also be the Revenant, be your own support, right? And I took Revenant this run because we had two people that had done level caps before. Obviously, I've done a level cap before, but we had somebody that was brand new. And the surprising thing was is I honestly thought they were going to be a bigger issue, not because it was their first time, but because they had gone Hildren, and they had managed to, through like placement, and like they decided to go to support just to get used to it. They actually went a Chroma Helminth on Hildren, and that ended up being pretty wild. Because the Chroma damage buff, the Bing chilling thing that Dystopia made a video on, doesn't exist anymore, apparently. But the damage multiplier is 1000% still there. So in terms of support, I might actually keep that in mind. If I know I'm supporting, or like I'm playing like a more passive role, not the person killing the Demolus, I might keep that in mind for future times to just Helminth on Chroma's Helminth to whatever I'm using to just continuously buff the Zada's Whisper person if that's their build. So a little bit more niche, but that was a wild buff when that kicked in. Especially, I think the highest damage I hit with the Latum was like 150 million. I was regularly hitting over a million. Not that it's that hard for the Latum to do, but hitting 20, 30 million kind of relevantly. Most of the time I would bullet hose because I wasn't ever really near the Hildren, but you can definitely see the couple of times where when they recast Chroma Helminth, and I tried to kill something, you can definitely tell when my damage exploded. It was basically just eyeballing it. It was about a 50x damage multiplier when I had Zada's turned on and I had the Chroma damage boost, which is nice. And also the Yoreli was running Roar. So if I managed to pick up all of those, that's probably when I was hitting the hundreds of millions. Obviously, it didn't happen too much, or else I'd have like a YouTube short about the headshot bonuses, right? But yeah, everybody using, or no, was it Yoreli that had Roar, or was it Saren? Roar was on the team. It had been Helminth on. Somebody had Roar. It might have been Yoreli and the Saren. But either way, the fact is that the Chroma damage bonus, the AoE, and Zada's still interact incredibly favorably. You just can't Helminth those. You can't Helminth Zada's onto Rhino, or not Rhino, but onto Chroma, and it won't let you put that ability onto Zaku. But if two people have them in the group, they still affect each other, which is kind of wild. Unless they fix that too, because I know I tried that like a couple months ago after they got rid of the cold damage bonus, and you couldn't do it. So it says like you can only have one damage boosting ability on a frame at a time. Like it also affects Mirage with like Eclipse. Like it forces you to Helminth over Eclipse with some Helminths, right? So pretty basic. That's about as much of a review as I can give on it. The Exceltra, in order for it to be like permanently level cap capable, the magazine issue, the amount of ammo you carry has to be fixed. So I think the answer might be like a carrier, or I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. But the damage is there. The build was right. It's just there's some utility, so there's an asterisk on the build, right? So it's not effective. The damage is there, but it's not effective. And going full viral was the right thing. Maybe I'll try to sneak on Hunter munitions or something. But the idea of the Exceltra being like a low tier weapon that's meant for like killing trash, I don't think it stuck to that. It did too well when I had ammo, when I was killing enemies, it did too well for it to really be, knocked down to like fodder, right? Like obviously it's a popular weapon, obviously it's a fun weapon, and it's good at star chart and like base steel path. But the idea that the Exceltra can't do level cap, I think that idea is as little proved as the run did. I think the idea that the Exceltra can't do level cap is garbage. It did too well at level cap. Just got to fix the ammo economy. All right, I am gonna move on to something that isn't gonna be included in the title. And it's just sort of like the people that listen to my videos this long, will hear it because a lot of people listen to my videos. Okay, to be honest, there's a reason why I haven't changed the video style, and I like the one-off riff of the video a lot. I suck at editing, and to be honest, I haven't found any video editors. Like, I tried DaVinci, and it literally won't load on my system. Like, my system is powerful enough. I have a 12900K, it's a full DDR5 system, and a 2080 Titan. Like, I should be able to run some video editing software. And none of it loads because, and I think it has to do with how large the files are. Like that run that I uploaded yesterday was a couple hundred gigs. My average video, and if like this video alone is probably going to be 20 to 30 gigs on its own, even with me just sitting here. It's going to be a little less because there isn't a whole lot moving. But if I'm running through and I upload like a 20-30 minute video and like I'm actually moving through a level, the file size is massive. Because I'll tone it, the CQP setting, I'll tone it down to like a 16. Just to keep it extra clear. But if y'all have any recommendations on that, let me know. Because at this point, I'll even buy something. Just to get it to work. Because like DaVinci didn't work for me. It wouldn't load. And the forum posts and like any explanation, I even like contacted support and I'm like, if I buy Pro, will this fix it? And they're like, no, it should load. If the free version doesn't load, that doesn't mean the Pro version will. So I couldn't make the jump, even though I wouldn't mind buying Pro at this point. But I wanted to put this at the end of the video. The people that watch my videos listen to me more as like an ASMR explanation. Just when somebody is like playing Warframe, they want to put me up on like a second or third screen, and I appreciate y'all. And I can tell because there's a tab in YouTube Studio that allows you to see high-ranking results of what my viewers are looking for, and you have like down at the bottom, like low priority is like build videos, and like then there's like medium, which is like fashion, and then the only one that's ranked high is actually ASMR. So I kind of stuck with it. Like, it doesn't seem like it's a point where it's like, oh, I need to change up the style essentially, but like I would love, as I'm sitting here talking, to just drop in some graphics, so like when people are watching, I can just dump in the center of the screen like the part of the VOD prior that I'm talking about, but still keep the one cut aspect and just fill in as I'm talking about it. I'd love to be able to do that, but I literally don't have any video editing software that can deal with the size of the files. Like at this point, like if it requires me to upgrade to a 4090 just to get the VRAM, just to be able to get the VRAM on, I'll even do that because I really, really enjoy making videos. But yeah, if you know how to troubleshoot that, let me know. But yeah, I'm not gonna get off the whole ASMR thing, but I would love to add like a cutout to whatever I'm referencing in the center of the video, so it's a little bit more interactive than like, hey, that one time the Exceltra was killing cap level enemies. Once I had everything stacked up, like it did fine. Like I would love to be able to put like a video cutout of that, like a drop in. So it's pretty relevant, and just have like boxes everywhere on the screen where it's like something's relevant. So I could still keep the one cut aspect because I really, really like the unfiltered idea of just like speaking off the cuff and not having a video where it's like, you know, perfectly good and well they've done like 20, 30 cuts and it doesn't flow the same. I love the, you know, somebody just talks and gets it done video cut, but I would love to be able to put video clips on top of this later, and I just don't have the software to do it. Nothing that anybody's recommended has worked, and I don't know why. But anyway, I'm gonna add this at the end of the. There's one more thing I wanted to bring up. I get asked quite a bit about a Discord server, and I kind of wanted to bury this, because the fact is I understand Discord servers can be like technically it's the right answer, right? So I'm gonna load in like say 2 months worth of comments here. I'm just scrolling down. Let's see if we get to 3 and I'll stop. I get asked not super often, it's not annoying. I'm not coming at it from that angle. Alright, that's good enough. Hold on, watch it not even be able to. Yeah, what? It's too much to search now. Let's see. Yeah, it's not gonna load up. But I don't get asked super often, but it has. Okay, why is that not showing up? Yeah, it's too much to search through. I get asked, this isn't too much of an issue, but like, I get asked a lot about having a Discord server, and if I viewed this channel, or say like, my quote unquote career on YouTube, and I'm not calling out this person, this is no issue whatsoever, but it's just, I wanted to explain why I'm never going to do it. For the YouTube side of things, is that originally I made this channel, and it still is that I made this for the Clan and Alliance. A lot of the people now know, because they basically get told by other people now. They're like, hey, if you got a question and you want like a top-down explanation, and they'll talk, like try to like build up and explain how to build stuff, where they're talking to you, that I will do this for them. So a lot of the questions, I have no problem going through, and if it's like if it's a weapon I haven't covered, I have no problem from the YouTube comment section actually doing a video on it. But the fact is I am not trying to become a Warframe content creator. I like my small group. I'm at like 2,500 subs. If the channel grows, it grows. If people leave, they leave. It just kind of is what it is. So the fact is that I am never going to make a Discord. And a lot of it has to do, and I mean this like in the most generous terms possible. Please don't think I'm like calling anybody out. But I enjoy. Okay, let me start from like the observation first. So one of the issues that I notice with like Warframe content creation is like, obviously if there's a new weapon out, everybody's going to cover it. But if you've been watching YouTube content long enough for Warframe, you notice that occasionally there's like the same topic will tend to be covered all at the same time. You'll see like a lower quote unquote tier creator where they're not like the main couple, like a smaller creator come up with an idea, and then like all of a sudden the big creators will cover it. Like the biggest example that's kind of recent would be like the Heat Inherit build. the person that found the mechanic covered it first, but now all of the big creators covered it. And unless you know who came up with the mechanic, if you go in and search for like a specific mechanic, you're going to see the big creators first instead of the person that came up with it. And it seems that unless you have like a specific niche, that is just kind of the way it goes. Like that's just saying like, hey, it's just YouTube. They go for views. Maybe the bigger creators came out with a more polished like video. But wouldn't you want to know who's coming up with the ideas though? Like what is it? The Incarnon Boltor. It's a good meme. But now that like the bigger creators have done it, I still don't see a lot of shout outs for who posted the video first. And more importantly, the person that came up with it needs to be tagged also. So for me, I just want to keep this channel, my ideas. Maybe I'll cover something that somebody else came up with. But if I do, they're 100% getting credit. Like if I didn't credit somebody for what they came up with, if I'm talking about a mechanic, I do my best to at least verbally say who came up with it. I think a couple of times I've forgotten to tag who it is. But if I come up with specifically like a mechanic that somebody discovered, which frankly is kind of a big deal, especially since Warframe and YouTube are still kind of like first to the punch in terms of getting recognized. It's a big deal to be the first person to figure something out, the first person to make a video on it. Those carry weight. At least they should. Because if those don't carry weight and the big people come along and they just cover it and everybody stops going to the people that come up with stuff, the big creators can't come up with all of these ideas this fast. A lot of this stuff takes a lot of working through stuff to be able to figure something out like this. Like a lot of times, like when these ideas come up, it's basically Discord chats filled with people going like, hey, I got this idea, and then like everybody will stop, and it's basically people that joke around and have like just need something to do, but they enjoy each other's company. So they'll just be playing Warframe, and there are lots of high tier players in the same Discord call, and you work through something. So, but the person that came up with the original idea needs to be credited. The group that worked through it and troubleshooted it needs to be credited. The person that posted the video first and did the video editing needs to be credited. And then I would even say the person that comes up with the single easiest explanation of the mechanic and the most polished video needs to be credited. If it all comes down to like the video tier process, and the final video where it's the most polished video should then credit everybody else. Even if it's a little thing like, hey, listen, this was a group effort, everybody that contributed is down in the info panel. Just something small, right? Like you're not saying like, oh, like you explain a mechanic and like it's a 2-hour video where the mechanic's at the very end and it's like a 10-second explanation, and then you have like 2 hours of people getting posted. Listen, just list people out down at the bottom, be like, hey, these people did a lot, but I think the person that came up with the idea first needs to be credited, not just the person that polished it. And that's just not how I see Warframe working. And it's really disappointing, because if the person coming up with ideas watches the person that they come up with an idea to and they chime it into somebody else, and then that the Warframe creator or the YouTuber posts a video and then gets all of the credit, and now everybody thinks that creator's the person coming up with the idea. That person gets all of that energy, and the person that posted about it in Discord doesn't get shit. I think that's pretty bullshit. even if it was like at the beginning of a video, like, hey, in Discord, this guy came up with this idea, gave him I put a link to his YouTube down in the bottom. Just say what he did. Don't sugarcoat it. Just be real blunt. Just, hey, this is from Discord. These guys came up with this idea, blah, blah, blah. They posted about this first. There you go. Because also it avoids issues of one of the things that also happens in Warframe, where you have maybe a smaller creator comes up with something, like somebody really small, like 200-300 subs. Okay, they come up with an idea, and one of their viewers watches it, and then in a bigger YouTuber's channel, they have a Discord. They might have a video idea section, and the person that watched the smaller creator's video posts that idea, like, hey, this is an interesting topic. And the mid-tier or the bigger creator doesn't know that that idea came from somebody else, and all of a sudden that bigger creator just completely absorbs the momentum that smaller person was going to make. And I think that's the most innocent way to view it, because what's the worst thing that could happen is that at least it establishes a trail, right? But lots of Discords have like content idea channels, and none of them really get credited unless they're posting the YouTube link. And I think if most creators had like Give Me Idea channels, or like a YouTube video channel, or like a, hey, we're testing these things, they would be a lot more put off if somebody tried to contribute an idea, but they contributed somebody else's YouTube video. It's not going to be that good of an idea, because it's like, well, clearly, why am I going to make a video? What, I'm going to remake somebody else's video? You know what I'm saying? Like, you would just post in a community post, hey, this guy did a good thing. Like, no, you're not going to do that, because you want to get a video out of it also. So I think people post somebody else's idea too regularly without crediting that person. Like, say when I talked about the like, it's simple as like what I said about Arthas, right? I like his breakdowns. He had a good idea. I watch them all the time, and I'm adding my own slight spin on it, because I will talk about like base level, mid level, like here's the problems, blah blah blah, not just specifically about the weapons. But because Arthas's videos are so effective, I'm incorporating that, and I'm going to try it one time. But his are going to be way more polished. So it's pretty simple. Just say who you got the idea from. But I think there's too many ways with a Discord that it could anonymize people that really need to be given credit. And because of this hierarchy system that tends to establish in Discords, there tends to be like an implied level of approval that you have to earn to the person above you. And it's like everybody wants to like hang out with like a couple of people, and then like the whole Discord mod thing, I find cringe as hell. Like, even in my Alliance Discord, there's no ranks. Right? Like, if you want to be respected within the community, it's not going to be because of your rank. It's going to be because you have a long history of posting in there saying smart shit. Okay? Like, that you live on that bridge by yourself. If you want to go down that road, if you find being worthy of respect in a Discord is something you want to put, into how you work in life, yeah, you live on that edge by yourself, because frankly, it's just going to stay a place where it's like a group forum, everybody just posts. That's what it is. If you look at that and go, oh, I want to be a higher rank than somebody else, you can live on that edge by yourself, but you're going to do it building your own reputation. No bullying, that sort of thing. Like, I don't want to see anybody like trash talking people unless it's like friendly fire, if you will. If two people want to roll in the mud and really get into it, listen, y'all have a ball, but I don't want to see anybody coming back and going, hey, they were mean to me. It's like, I saw the Discord messages. You were sending that shit right back to them. At no point in time did you say, I don't like this. And you have to say it early. I don't want to see, I don't like this 2 hours after you've been talking shit about the other person. Like, first message, like, hey, I don't like that sort of comment. Like, it needs to be the first response. Okay? You don't get to participate it and then try to get it covered up when you lost, okay? You can't undo punches to the face. Bruising stays. Can't, get rid of that. But it's just I find the Discord thing, if you want to have a conversation, there are not a ton, but I do have um privated videos, or not unlisted. I have unlisted videos where I have made a video for a specific person and posted it in a comment. Okay, if you want to have a conversation about something, I'm totally down with it. You'll see on my channel, in like the comment section occasionally, where somebody will post like a paragraph comment and they will get a paragraph comment back from me. If they're posting like they're trying to work out something, I'll absolutely do it. If I have time to. But when I'll engage, I will try to give them the same effort back, right? So the issue is that I find the Discord thing just serves as like a tool for a content creator to like make a community. And for my situation where I'm trying to just post stuff and my community is my alliance and my clan, I find it kind of power grabby. And there's so much nuance with Discords, and there's such a race to be like first to the punch in Warframe because there's such a content drought that it ends up just being kind of cringe for somebody in my position, where it's just I would rather my channel be the ideas that I came up with. If I have like a specific review, like what I did on the Encumber Latum, that was surprisingly strong. If it's something I came up with, it needs to be what gets posted on the YouTube video. If somebody requests a build and I do a build video, it's going to be my build. Even though if it's something that somebody else came up with, it at least needs to be I put in the mental effort for this, whether it's a lot of effort, where it's a little bit of effort. You know that build that I came up with, it is what I came up with. Maybe I came to the same conclusion as somebody else, but it's just the idea of like leeching builds. Not that there's a whole lot of build variety in Warframe. Like there definitely is a way to build. But it's just the trust that like I put in the mental effort for this, whether it was a lot of effort or a little bit of effort, it needs to be my effort in coming up with it. So it's just it's like I kind of learned my lesson, and this will be my final thing. I kind of learned my lesson from like the Heat Baruch build. I got trashed on that. If you want to be honest, like there was a Warframe creator that literally went through the entire fucking video. I mean, they clicked through it a little bit, but they went through my video and trashed the Heat Baruch build so hard that they didn't get the full context of why I was proposing so many builds. And where the context of like this build is for my alliance, that they actually deleted their own VOD. Except the Heat Baruch build is kind of viable at level cap. Like I had no issues when I was doing the disruption run with it until like I had some trouble with the Noxes at the end. But the fact is like the build works. It still needs a tiny bit of polishing, but like I could make a level cap capable build polished now, but the idea was theory crafting back then. And the build still did millions of damage. Like what the initial statement of this build has way more effective DPS absolutely stands, especially with the strip from Therastrike. Still the exact same damage that it did at the base. The initial claim of it was absolutely valid. It wasn't about hitting 15 to 20 million. Because if you full strip enemies and you have the heat dot is just too strong. Okay, 2 or 3 punches and everything dies all the way up to level cap. Therastrike auto and it's dead basically. And I incorporated one extra thing and that like 100% fixed it. So I didn't have to worry about um, like the reactive storm changing elements. You can force the heat element onto reactive storm. Like you can force reactive storm to pick the heat element. And once I incorporated that, boom, that build popped, right? So it's just, it is what it is. I learned my lesson from it. Um, in terms of how to present it, if I had tried to make a video where every single thing was the correct answer with no alternatives based on somebody's modding ability, I wouldn't have made that video. Right? Like if it's only the correct final answer, it's like 2 builds. Right? But I went through and I was like, okay, I'm going to give a ton of alternatives because there's a lot of people in the clan. Like I'm speaking for like MR3s to like LR2s, and now LR3s, right? And there are issues where like people don't have the mods yet. So if I try to speak to all of those variations on like, I don't have this mod, what would you recommend? Like, and I try to hit all of that in a video. If somebody's used to seeing like a polished final product, you come off like a dumbass. And the fact is I got completely drugged through the mud on some of that. So I learned my lesson. And I'm just going to not make videos for people that want videos like that. Is basically it. Like a final polished product, I'll report what I do well. That's my idea. Like if I try something, it comes out with a really good positive, I'll definitely share it. But the idea of a Discord where people can give me a ton of ideas and like I constantly teach, it seems kind of redundant, and it seems like it's a little bit dangerous in terms of copying somebody else's idea, or maybe and it can be completely intentional on like it would expose me to doing that myself, either copying somebody else's idea. And it's like a lot of times I see the recommendations in the Discords where somebody will be like, hey, this was a good idea, and it's like the reason why it was a good idea was because the other person presented the idea so well. So it's just, it doesn't make sense to me in terms of it like being new ground. Like I would be more open if I were to do the Discord thing if it was an area where everybody wanted to just like try builds and needed help troubleshooting. That sounds interesting to me. Like a lot could get done, but it's almost guaranteed to turn into a build help Discord where it's not like, hey, like the one thing where it's like one of the things I want to ask one of my alliance mates is like, I would need help troubleshooting the aggro priorities, right? Like which provides more aggro, like a Loki decoy, or like a Wukong Spectre, or like Mirage's clones, right? Which gives more aggro? So you would have to have 2 people on 2 different frames, and then the ultimate choice, the ultimate thing, would be which provides more aggro than a defense target. Because the tier list itself isn't that big of a deal, but which provides more aggro than a defense target for, say, like an arbitration is a big fucking deal. And there's no list for that. So I would have to get somebody to help me to make that list. And I could see some value in something like that. So it's one of those things, because like, what is it? There was another YouTuber I was listening to. It was one of those things where I was like listening to some stuff at work, and they made a comment that Stynax's aggro increase is stronger than a defense target's aggro. Because you know how the defense target, when it's running around, has a higher aggro and everything runs at it? So everything will ignore you. And everything runs at the defense target. And then as it's running toward the defense target, it will try to shoot you on the way to the defense target. Stynax has a high enough aggro that apparently it out aggroes the defense target. So that's important information, right? So I would want to see like the breakdown and create like a tier list of the aggro for everything. And that's a Discord for that sort of stuff where it's like active troubleshooting. That sounds interesting to me, but to be honest, it probably exists and none of us are in it. You know what I'm saying? So like that sort of stuff, I could see a Discord for that, but a Discord for like everybody to hang out, it just seems like the comment section with extra steps and extra drawbacks. And if somebody else comes up with an idea and makes a video on it, and it's a unique idea, as far as I can see, like, I need to be subbed to that person. So it's just, it is what it is. I gotta end this video. I gotta go to work. If you made it this far, thanks. We're actually just over the hour mark, but long rant. I wanted to bury it in a video, so anybody who watches this long of a video would get the information anyway. But that's my view on Discords. It's dangerous for copying information, because it requires me to be a viewer of a bunch of other stuff, and it's like if the other person that the idea comes from is like a good idea, like hopefully this is much of it. Like I tried to change this, and like maybe it'll be like enough difference from like Arthas's breakdown. Maybe this will count as like turning it into my own, but it's just like I got the initial idea for the longer run breakdown because frankly it's so informative, but I'll try to do my own style. But like this is me trying to do like the complete thought. But anyway, have a good day, guys. Take it easy. Have a blessed day. Stay excellent. All that stuff. Anyway, I gotta go. Later.